So, I'll give you my opinion on what I think caused that, or exactly what I think happened there. It might not be what you think. You can let me know in the comment section. Let me know if you think that my assessment is correct. Anyway, welcome back Gran Turismo fans. Watkins Glen Group 4, times 1. Just going to throw my small little voice to the multitude of people saying that PD really needs to do better. It's not that I don't like the track, it's not that I don't like Group 4, but times 1 custom slipstream, yeah, it's getting a bit old, isn't it? Anyway, maybe one day they improve. Maybe if we all just keep applying enough pressure to them, maybe one day they improve with what they're doing with sport mode. So, Daily Race C from Monday. Now, this race was quite eventful. Okay, so I really actually wanted to use a race where we had a Digit Racing podium lockout. Myself, Digit, and DG Harty, who's getting faster these days, and we got the first ever Digit Racing podium lockout, and I really wanted to use that race as the feature race, but it just wasn't eventful. It just wasn't anything that happened. It was a pretty boring race. This race, on the other hand, this race has taken me quite a long time to edit and splice together all the moments of action that you need to see in the shortest frame of time that I could put them together, so that I could collect them together. So yeah, quite an eventful race, this one. This race is a testimony to why in my Race IQ Racecraft videos I talk about rule number 3, which is make allies and friends. Now, the ally in question in this race is Digit. But it doesn't have to be Digit, doesn't even have to be a Digit Racing teammate. I'll align myself with anyone. If someone's got my pace or better, tries to be clean, if it's advantageous for me to work with them, I will align myself with that person for the race and work with that person. Because the bottom line is, if you have people around you that you can trust to race clean, mistakes accepting of course, and they're smart and they're intelligent about how they go about the race, and they're willing to work with you, you're going to have better races. It's as simple as that. You are going to net more consistent race results and have less chaotic, bad driving moments. That's just the way it is, and that's why I tell you guys to make friends and allies. Alright, so as we exit the chicane for lap 2, you're about to see why Digit and I work together so much to try and help each other in the races. And that is the driver we saw at the beginning. So, to be fair, this is a bit of a dive. The gap isn't really there. Nevertheless, Digit gives him room. But it's the nudging Digit wide on the exit. So, it was a late move, but Ministro stuck the apex, that's fair. All he had to do was just get the throttle down a little bit less aggressively on the exit to make sure his car doesn't push Digit wide. So you can understand why Digit makes a firm and robust move there. Ministro set the terms of engagement, shall we say, and I think Digit's move was a lot better, to be fair. So yeah, this is why Digit and I will work together. Because you've watched Digit streams, you guys know which drivers can be trusted, which drivers are more prone to being spicy, to quote Rory's latest video. It's a good video, go watch that one. You've probably already seen it, to be fair, am I kidding? So yeah, this is why Digit and I will work together, because we can mitigate the effect of these things, as you're going to see in this race. So Algebron, you guys know who he is, I'm sure, always racing against Digit on his streams, and he ran wide, turned 1, quite wide, got himself a 1 second penalty. Now if we go on board with Rory here, I don't blame Rory for this, right? Rory's a clean guy, raced Rory so many times, get on fine with him. But the custom slip and the heavy concertina effect ever so slightly catches Rory out. The initial contact is actually from Rory, and it ping-pongs, it ricochets like a wave through all 5 cars, and I end up being the one that pays the price. Amazingly, kept control, got it back on track, safe re-entry without killing anybody. Digit got a penalty. Game really shouldn't be giving a penalty to people when you're pushed wide, but there we go, that's what it is. Kind of a good thing that Digit actually got the lead from that, because if you're going to serve a penalty in these slipstream races, serving it from the lead is the best place to serve it from, because you fall back into the pack, whereas if you're the fifth car in a line of 5 cars, then you're just going to fall back off the pack and you lose the slipstream. So Digit managed to maintain P3 there, I think. Yeah. So Digit managed to maintain P3. Now, when two teammates, everyone knows Digit and I are teammates, right? When two teammates are working together, it's probably a bit more obvious that teammates would work together than just two random individuals, right? But when two teammates are working together, in my opinion, the right move here for Rory is to stay between us, not to go for the lead. Because if you go for the lead, you put me and Digit together again, and we can work together again. Whereas, if you keep us separate, it's much harder for us to work together. I've got to look for a way to get Digit back behind me, and Digit's got to look for a move. So I think the right move here is for Rory to bump draft me to the end of the race. That's certainly what Digit would do. And then try and go for moving the last lap or penultimate lap. But okay, so Rory goes for the move, that's fine. So I actually get out of the throttle. I actually let him go. There's no point fighting. And I might have defended it if the guy behind me was someone I couldn't trust. But again, it's a friend and an ally. Yes, it's a teammate, but as I said, I'll work with anyone. So perfectly happy to sit in P2. So as we jump forwards to the beginning of the next lap, I see the opportunity I'm looking for. Well, I am quite happy to sit in P2. And if I didn't have a teammate I'm working with behind, my strategy would be to bump draft Rory to the end of the race here. But the opportunity I'm looking for arises where Rory doesn't defend it. So knowing that Digit will give me a bump draft, I take the lead. And Rory and Digit go side by side through the bus stop, just to prove it can be done. Again, even with drivers of that calibre, it can go wrong. Because I'd rather be in the lead with Digit behind me. That is undoubtedly the safest place to be. So let's talk about that then. I don't think it was deliberate. Okay, that was obviously a what's the word? Controversial driver, who makes questionable decisions. I think he was trying to cut back inside Rory. I think he was letting Rory go and then trying to cut across the track inches from Rory's bumper and outbrake him into that left-hander the same way he did with Digit. And it didn't work. So don't think it was deliberate, because there was nothing. I looked at the race, there was nothing. So the problem is you've got to wait in that situation. So in my next Race IQ video, I will be talking about this, about when to wait. The basic rule that I live by is if you know something was your fault in the moment, you've got to wait. If you're unsure, jumping forwards a couple of laps here because nothing happened. If you're unsure, if you're genuinely unsure in the moment, don't wait. Now, that's happened to me this week and last week. Something happened. I genuinely wasn't sure in the moment. It's very hard to make that judgment call sometimes. So I carried on. And only on watching the replay did I find out that was my fault. And then you just have to be honest about it and tell the guy. And actually, the guy in question was Rory on his stream. I said, yeah, fair play. That is my fault. So there's no way Ministro didn't know that that's his fault. That's my point. You got to wait in that situation, because you can be guaranteed that if that had happened to Ministro, he would be seething. He was already flashing his lights at the move Digit pulled on him. So, yeah. If you want people to treat you with respect, you got to treat them with respect. Mistakes will still happen. Jumping forwards again to lap 9, Digit pulls out to try and overtake Ministro, and you might have saw me jink out there just to try and give Digit the slipstream. It didn't really work because it was too deep into the braking zone or close to it. But here you can see that I'm deliberately moved out very quickly to give Digit the slipstream. So again, working together, being mindful of what's happening. And that's where I find bumper cam better because of the rear view mirror. I do agree that the other view should have a rear view mirror, but in terms of working together and situational awareness, bumper cam is definitely better. Although many other drivers do extremely well with the other views, so not knocking those. This time Digit didn't concede the chicane, and given what had been happening in this race, I don't blame him. So Ministro lost a few places there with the contact that happened. Like I said, 9 out of 10 times it's going to go wrong, even with two drivers that really try and make it work. Digit and Rory did amazingly well to get through without contact, but even with two drivers with the best of intentions and the utmost earnest effort to not have contact in that bus stop, it's still going to happen. So, 1 lap to go. P1, Algebon behind me, Digit P3. Gotta try and find a way to get Digit into P2. Got a little bit of a gap to Algebon, he's obviously made a few mistakes. Digit's right on his tail. I can see that from the rearview mirror. I'm looking at the rearview mirror quite a lot here. And I'm waiting for this moment when Digit will pull out. I know he's going to do it, right? I know he's going to pull out at some point. Now, it happens earlier than I expected. I thought it would happen up the hill. But I was looking in my rearview mirror, and the moment Digit pulled out, I moved out too to give Digit the slipstream, and this time it works much better. Algebon tries to squeeze, does it cleanly, that's fair. I ran a bit deep, missed the apex, too much looking in the rearview mirror. But again here, I'm not taking the normal line. Normally you would move over and be in front of Algebon, normally you'd be on the curb right now in front of Algebon. I actually take it too wide. Again, looking in the rearview mirror too much, and Algebon catches up a little bit. But it doesn't matter, because the moment the slipstream catches Digit up to me, he will bump draft. And then there's nothing Algebon can do. There's literally, you can't break that late. It's impossible. So the teamwork put Digit into P2. And now we only have half a lap. And as long as I don't make any mistakes, and as long as Digit has got my slipstream, there's basically nothing anyone can do about it. Not without risking contact anyway. Let's put it that way. There's basically nothing you can do to affect a pass on Digit here. If he takes a semi-defensive line, you can see he's doing that there. You can see he's just pulling out half a car width more than I am, just to cover the inside from Algebon. And this race ended very much the way the last Watkins Glen video did, where Digit didn't go for a move, because in going for a move on me, he would risk Algebon getting past either one or both of us. And I guess the summary is that over the course of this day, this afternoon, Digit and I pulled off numerous 1-2 finishes that I can remember. I can't remember how many, but numerous 1-2 finishes where either he won or I won, or we were both on the podium. And Harty was also involved in some of those races and podiums as well. And granted, it was not the most competitive day. A lot of the fast drivers just aren't racing this at the moment. But there's still a testimony to what teamwork can do. So guys, thank you for watching. Go and find yourself some friends to work with. Create allies, not enemies, as Digit said on stream. Get out of here and go and race.